Diablito, elevate your style with this 2025 Nissan Kicks SV in deep blue from Downey Nissan, your Nissan dealer numero uno. Stand out on the road with the bold, sleek exterior, a combination of sporty and modern. Plus, a roomy cabin with zero-gravity inspired seats, lots of legroom and cargo space, perfect for your daily commute or weekend getaway. Stay connected with the latest technology like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Plus, feel safe driving around town with Nissan Safety Shield 360. Remember, if you've been affected by the fires or know anybody that has been affected by the fires, Downey Nissan is offering you employee discount for new cars or for service.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome to Los Amigos de Downey Nissan. Bienvenidos aquí a tu casa. Como siempre, aquí está Rebecca. ¿Qué onda, Rebecca? ¿Cómo estás?
Muy feliz y contenta because we have a special guest today. We have
sure do.
A real
yeah, it's not a special guest.
Here.
It's a real hero, man. I'm even like excited, and I don't get awestruck. A lot of people tell me, "Oh, you're always with the artists and stuff," but these are the people that I get awestruck with because they serve the community, you know, and that's what's so cool about Justin that's here today to talk to us about.
Well, we wanted to get a different perspective about the California wildfires because we know a lot of people that lost a lot of things. But the other side of the story is the courageous heroes that have to go battle and save lives, save people's belongings. And on the other side, they also have families. They also have the potential to lose everything. They also have wives at home or moms who are worried for them and praying for them that they come back home safe. So we wanted to get real life heroes perspective, which we have on the show today. Justin, thank you for being here.
Yeah, Justin, welcome, man. Oh, you speak Spanish too?
Un poquito.
Nice, all right. Not only that, this guy, he battles fires that are like big flames, right?
Real fire.
Real fires. And we were talking about on our last podcast, Justin, that there's some guys, not me, right, that we have like carne asadas, we turn on the barbecue, we add a little fuel, and it goes up, oh, you're all scared. And then she's like saying, yeah, what about the guys that are doing what?
When you're heating the tortilla and the comal and you like, touch the fire a little and get scared too. Like,
surprisingly, it hurts me too.
Justin, thank you so much for being here, man. I know you're perhaps tired, exhausted from actually battling the fires, man. And you're from the Pasadena area fire department, right?
Yes, I work for Pasadena Fire Department. I'm there at Station 34, right there near Caltech. I've been working for the fire department there for approximately 15 years now.
Nice, 15 years.
Going on 16 in March.
So I'd like to start off first by saying, how'd you get involved with the fire department?
So I started actually in high school. Back when I was younger, I took a career explorations course, in high school, and it kind of led me down the path of looking into certain careers that might suit interests that I had.
Right.
And on the list of those was firefighter. I had not ever thought of becoming a firefighter except for when I was a kid and we all dress up and be astronauts and doctors and firefighters. My mom actually has a pin made of when I wore something at a museum.
No way.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
She made it for me when I graduated academy. But
shout out to mama.
Shout out to mom. Shout out to mom's my biggest supporter.
That's right.
But yeah, so I think during that time it kind of was made aware to me that would be something of my interest, and I didn't know anybody except for someone who was in my church, and he was a chief for Anaheim. So I ended up speaking to him about how I would go about becoming a firefighter, what the process looks like, the training and whatnot. And he was pretty much like a mentor to me for a better part of 10 years until I got hired on with Pasadena Fire Department.
Right. Well, I'm sure you're a lot younger than I am, but back in our days, there were the Fire Explorers program.
Yes, I was a fire explorer.
Oh, no way. Really? That's so cool.
I won't date myself, but we're probably close to the same age.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I remember thinking about doing it, but I was too short, man.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And back then, I know you're not going to believe this, I was skinny. I was bony. I'm like.
I was too.
Oh, really?
My passion was basketball back then in high school, and I couldn't play my first year because I was too short and too skinny. That's what the coach told me.
Right.
And so later that summer I grew 6 inches and then
wow.
came back. And I was like, can I play now? He's like, yes, you can.
Yeah. When I saw you walk in here into Downey Nissan, I'm like, whose bodyguard is that? This guy's yoked, man. He's like, Super fit.
Oh,
You know he don't go for hamburgers and stuff like that.
Oh,
man.
I had In-N-Out last night.
Oh,
man.
okay.
Everything's balanced.
Okay. Well, my balance
He
is
can
more
afford to eat in and out.
right, and my balance is more towards the heavy, greasy stuff, man.
I love it.
So tell us a little bit about how it all started for you, because obviously you were telling us before we started recording that you were working on January 7th when you guys got the first call, or you guys heard about the call.
Yeah. So I was working my normal duty shift, and we had word. Obviously, there was pre-positioned engines that were put out into the city and throughout the county for
Right.
the fires and the winds that were occurring. So we had some setup already just in case. But obviously, as we've all seen now, it's much larger than anybody could. It's an act of God, essentially. But our initial strike team engine got sent out, and that made my engine next up to go. So we ended up getting prepared to take off and head out to the Palisades.
Did you already know that it was going to be something tough when you started preparing mentally?
Yes. So this is actually within the year. I was at the Park Fire that was up north this last year.
Oh, so literally it's not your first rodeo.
Not my first rodeo.
Wow.
Yeah. I was at the Ventura fires that happened as well. And I've been lucky enough to be initial response. I'm also a paramedic, so it's also
No way.
Yeah.
Damn.
So it's also very lucky. Most of the time I work in ambulance, 2 out of the 3 shifts that I would normally work. And this, when you're on the engine, this is where the opportunity comes for you to actually fight fires. So I've been lucky enough to be able to be on the engines when these strike teams got deployed, and I got to go to them. So this is not my first rodeo this year, but it's definitely one of the worst that I've seen.
Rebecca, firefighter and paramedic, dude, that's the combo.
I know. I'm just thinking, like, if I was in danger, I would want Justin
Right.
right there
Me
because
too,
he
man.
does it all. I'd feel so safe.
Yeah, me too, man.
I'll tell you what, that most of the things that we do or accomplish, and as you guys, we've talked about before, it can't be accomplished without our team. I'm one person, and there's tools and equipment that I wear and have in training, but without a team or people around me that support these operations, I'm a normal person.
Right.
I'd be just like anybody else.
So you finally get called into action. You arrive and you see, all these flames and stuff like that. What was your initial reaction? Because we spoke to another firefighter last week or last podcast, and I was telling him that on TV, at least we saw like embers that were maybe 6 inches wide. They were just flying and, coming towards you guys.
Yeah.
What did you feel, man? I know you said
I
you've
want to
been.
know, like, what hat do you put on? When you go to work, you put on a hat. Like, what is your hat? Is it the Superman hat?
Oh.
Like,
Yeah.
I will say, like, going back to when I was in school, and this is something that I wanted to do, I always knew I didn't want to have a job where I wore a suit and tie and sat in an office all day long. I actually wanted to be a lawyer initially, and then
Oh, nice.
yeah, that was something where I started looking into it. I was like, I don't want to be a lawyer. I want to be active. I want to be out there. I want my job to be something different every day.
Yeah.
So that's essentially, I just put on my adaptive hat. So whatever gets thrown at me that day, I try to dwell on the training that we do. And we train all the time. We prepare for things like this. Even in my personal life, you can ask my wife and my kids. You think I'm a doomsday prepper at home I have everything just in case something happens, because anything can happen.
Well, not only that, what's going on in the real world,
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And going back to the question in regards to you arriving with your team, and then you see all these fires and embers, what was going through your...
So initially, with every emergency that we respond to or I respond to, my first priority is life. So I'm thinking of people who are evacuated, if they're able to get out safely. Can we get in there? What the environment is like. It's hot, it's smoky. A lot of people don't know that most of the time people perish because of the smoke that they take in during a fire, not necessarily the heat itself. So you end up choking your lungs out, and that's how you go down. So I'm always concerned about elderly, children, things like that when I get on scene, because those are the most helpless people that need assistance.
Right.
And then getting people out to a place of safety, so now that I can just focus on fighting a fire without having to worry about
wow.
the life that might be there as well.
You mentioned smoke. Like you said, a lot of people perish because of the smoke. Is it? Have you ever smoked a cigar?
Yes.
Is it similar? It's not similar. I don't want to
Like
compare.
a campfire.
Is it something like
Like a
that?
campfire.
Like when you do a cigar and you inhale that smoke, because it's like 10 times worse, right?
It's the same response you'll have through your body, but I would say it's very much close to like when you sit too close to a campfire that's really smoky, and you almost just have to like step out and get fresh air. That's what it feels like for most people.
And you can actually feel the heat.
Oh yeah, I got ember burns from when the embers and things like that come, and yeah, you feel the heat. Our equipment's really good. Our equipment's really good for protecting us from most of the heat that comes, but it is not going to protect us from something like a fully involved house fire with 1,500 degree heat and things like that.
So you get there, and you and your partner start analyzing everything, like you said, looking for maybe citizens and stuff like that. And then what else was going through your thought process as you're doing all this?
So essentially becomes us now trying to mitigate the problem. And so containing it is going to be a strike team whole campaign type of event, right?
Right.
Us as an individual unit, we're trying to do the most work we can within the area that we're in. So a lot of homes are well involved or fully involved. It means the whole house is on fire.
Damn.
But then you have your neighbor next door whose house hasn't been hit yet or is being exposed to the fire.
Yeah.
So we start to make assessments of whether or not we can do some type of clearance around if it hasn't been done, if we have enough time, or if we can actually protect that house by squirting some water on it, maybe knocking it down a little bit so that it has a better chance of surviving. Because at some point you have to be able to write off, we call it triaging, like they do in the military and within medicine. You triage the situation. Can this one survive? Do I have enough resources? Do I have enough water to be able to affect this type of
and it's like
progression?
Thinking.
It is.
Like,
it is. And the more I've been doing this for 15 years and the more that I do this job, it's more of a mental Rolodex of what I am capable of, what my equipment is capable of, what my crew may be capable of. So those are all things that are just happening in a split second when we're making those decisions.
Crazy.
And sometimes we make the right decisions. Most of the times we do. Sometimes you don't. And we just, our job, which I think makes it hard for us or anybody who wants to have this profession is we aren't superheroes. We are just people who try to go to a situation that's already bad and make it better.
Right.
Do the best we can to make it better.
And what do you think about when those people that I don't know if you ran into any of those people that were trying to save their own homes, that they would evacuate, that were using their pool's water to try to dose it off, and I'm sure you're like, leave it, but they don't. What do you think?
We did, but again, it's people stay at their own risk is what we basically tell them. Now, obviously, if things get to a point to where it's so hairy we can't get out of there, or we have to get out of there, then if we have to take them, we'll take them.
Wow.
But for those that do listen, that becomes a burden on us now, because now we have to step away from doing our job and now have to protect or focus and prioritize you because you didn't listen or evacuate when you should have. So
right. That's why the evacuation is so important.
Very important.
And that's what they kept telling people when you hear the evacuation order, leave, because you want to save the homes, but then like you said, that's so cool. He said it himself. Now you want to help the person get down to the bottom of the hill or whatever it is, away from the fire.
Yeah, life is our number one priority. We have life, property, and then environmental conservation. So life is our number one priority. We will shut down everything we're doing to save somebody. We will leave the fire burning if I can save a life. That is the most important thing. So when you put that back into the equation, that now changes our tactical priorities.
And after a while, obviously, you guys didn't lose the battle. It's just that you guys didn't have all the resources that you guys needed in a few hours. Not only that, you didn't have the air support because of the winds.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So in your eyes, I could only imagine you seeing these homes burning down. What did you feel, man?
I felt sorrow, especially the hardest part, I think, for me was also I work for Pasadena. And so when I was getting deployed to the Palisades, 15 minutes into our movement toward the Palisades, we can hear over the radio that Pasadena is now calling for strike teams. They're asking for the world. We're hearing that the fire starting in Eaton Canyon. Those are places that we go quite frequently to hike and do mountain rescues. Like, we're very familiar. Altadena, those are our neighbors.
That's your backyard.
That's my backyard.
Yeah.
Like, friends, neighbors, firefighters. I work with firefighters who lost their homes, and that to me is like,
wow.
Normally we go to a place that we aren't so attached to. We want to do a good job and use our abilities, but when it's home, that really makes it hard.
So it hit you hard when you heard it through I'm sure your earphones or whatever radio, and they said your area. You were like, what?
Did you want to like make a U-turn? Could you make a U-turn?
We were like, are we getting diverted back to Pasadena now that they're asking? We're still closer here than we are to Palisades. And the thing is, once you're assigned to a incident, you're assigned because they're expecting those resources to get there. So I was like, no. And obviously the Palisades is there's the same thing happening there, just on a larger scale. So the help is needed everywhere, and people will come to help us as well. So
Damn,
that was hard for me. Even now, like I was gone for 11 days. I was fighting.
So how do you guys do it mentally? Like, because someone was telling, I heard a couple fire chiefs, don't remember their names, but they were like, these guys are on 12 hours and then 8 hours rest, I think they said. So it's like you work more than the hours rest that they give you guys.
Yeah.
How do you do it mentally? Is it the adrenaline that you just...
Yeah, we actually were on 24s. So we did, and actually, so our initial response is you initially respond, and then once kind of the whole setup is done, then you're put onto a rotation. So we are actually there for 36 hours straight for the first.
Oh my God! I feel you with the newborn right now.
Yeah, I'm telling you. That's my wife. When we had kids, I was like, this is what it's like to work at the fire department. I'm up 5 times after midnight. She's like, I don't want to do it. So, but yeah, we were on for 36 hours straight. That first night we got there, the whole next day, we had 24 hours off, and then we came back, and Mandeville Canyon was going up that next day. So we were on for 48 hours after that. They held us on a double just because it was really going down the next day we were on. So, but yeah, normally we would do 24 on, 24 off, and that's to really give us some time to rest and reprieve, call families. We don't have service up there. Everything's there's no resources.
So I could only imagine your family,
like
your wife, your mom, your dad,
Yeah.
worried because on TV this is huge flames, man.
Yeah. I do my best to. My mom's, like I said,
there's no way you could send smoke signals. Definitely,
no, I can't. And I try to send out a message whenever I possibly could, but they know for at least the first 48 hours, like
you're missing in action for a while.
I'm in action right now, but they always pray for me. And,
oh my God, I can't even imagine your mom. Like, she probably doesn't sleep until she hears from you.
I'm sure she wouldn't say it, but I'm sure she does. And my sister, they're both out in Arizona. They always send me messages and things like that. And then once I get service again, everything pings back up. But definitely. I think I always do a good job of letting them know that I train well, I keep my body, healthy, and I will make it back home. So
what does it feel like once literally the dust clears a little bit, and now you're kind of walking over the properties that have been demolished? I guess I don't know if that's the correct word. Yeah. What do you feel? What
It's a surreal experience. It's hard to describe. You look at pictures of war zones, things you see in Gaza and things like that. It looks like a bomb is dropped on a neighborhood that was once standing there. It's hard because you can't even recognize any type of, bed or, kitchen, things like that. All this, you have a fireplace that's left standing, essentially. And some of those homes in the Palisades are beautiful, beautiful homes. So to even see them just reduced to ash and rubble and a whole neighborhood, I can't imagine where I grew up and all my friends and neighbors and things like that, and just nobody coming back to that. Like that for me is just hard. I'm glad everybody or most people were able to get away and have their lives and be able to start over, but that's a hard thing to do. And that's the part that kind of hits me. It's just like, man, anything you can do. Shout outs to my brothers in Pasadena. They did a great job of saving pictures and things like that for folks if they could when they came across them, putting them in places where people could, come back and at least have something that could never be replaced again, right. Pictures of family. But that's the hardest thing is just knowing that people's lives were here and they're gone.
Right.
They're gone.
And the incredible thing is that no firefighters were injured, right?
Not to my knowledge, nothing grand.
Maybe a thumbtack here and there.
Yeah, knock on wood. As far as I know, nobody really had to go to the major injuries, but it's part of the job. We do, like I said, we get ember burns, a little twist of the ankle, things like that.
Right.
But yeah, that's also a blessing. It's, we go in there and do what we can. And sometimes it's just part of the job. It's dangerous.
Right.
We accept that.
And those pilots too, man, they're amazing as well, man. Because I heard or seen some videos where the plane itself starts telling them altitude, because those guys are literally the plane thinks it's crashing, but they're just risking their lives.
Those guys are the real heroes. I got a buddy who flies a helicopter for LA County, and he was there. We were in Mandeville Canyon that night when it was starting to blow over, and we're staring up because we're standing in the neighborhood to protect it in case it comes down. But they put on an air show like I had never seen before, just dropping water and retardant, and they ended up stopping it at the ridge that night, and it was just amazing to see. So shout out to those guys, because they, in those winds, those guys are best of the best.
I'm telling you, I was seeing these drops because now they're starting to release videos of the pilots.
Yeah.
And a lot of those helicopters and mostly the planes, it would just scream out altitude, like warning, like, hey, you're going down, buddy. But they're, and then they just come back up. And like,
it's
whoa.
amazing. You see a whole 747 just fly overhead. You almost feel like you could touch it. It's so close.
Wow.
But the water, I'm sure, relieves you a little bit, right? Because it's hot down there.
Yeah, normally they don't try to drop it on us. But
the mist. That's what I meant.
The mist. Yeah, the mist does. It does feel good when it's hot. But it's January.
Yeah.
So it's actually, it's been colder during the day, especially within the canyon. So that's also the thing that's a little different than our normal strike teams, because normally it's during fire season, which is typically like June, May to September. So having these fires continue on until January and February, like that's what's making our job even harder, because we do this type of work at this scale longer throughout the year.
So have you gone back since to Altadena? Have you seen your area?
I haven't gone up to see it yet. I'm actually I end up actually getting an injury, but I should be going back soon. And once I go back, I plan to go see some of that area as well. But from what I've seen and what I've heard, it's pretty much the same as what we were seeing in Palisades.
Yeah, dude, it's cool meeting you in person. Yeah. Like I said, I had the opportunity to go and interview other people in regards to volunteers and people who lost their homes. Yeah. But to speak to a firefighter, because that's how there was at that time, a bunch of fire trucks, and it looked cool. Like, wow, like Nevada, you had people from up north.
Texas.
And then you see the big signs on their fire truck. Like, that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, Oregon we saw up there.
Wow.
I mean, everybody shows up to help out when it's on a grand scale, which is, I mean, that's the thing I love about this community and culture that I work for, is that when it's time to get down, we get down.
I feel like we need to have like a Dodger parade, a fireman parade.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
That would be cool.
No, that'd be dope.
Man. You know how many people would be there?
We are also a humble group of people. You'd have none of us show up there.
The ones that I also admire are the prisoner, I don't like calling prisoners, inmates.
Yeah, inmate crews.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. They were doing live shots with them, and they were so respectful. Like every single inmate. I don't know if it was a show or not. No, but they did amazing work, man. Yeah. Shoveling, throwing dirt on the fires. It was just crazy.
They do great work. Every component that, from the sky to the ground, everybody that does their position and does their thing, very professional. The guys do great work. We wouldn't have the level of service that we could provide. We wouldn't have the containment in such a fast manner with this type of emergency or disaster without everybody being very good at their job.
Now, you've been doing this a lot of years, and you said you've done some forest fighting or wildfires, Mm-hmm. So, do you have your own theory as why it skips certain homes?
You know what? It's funny you say that. There are certain things, like I took pictures of like a BMW that's still in the driveway, and every house around it is burned. Even the house it was at is burned to the ground.
Wow.
And it makes, to me, it doesn't make any sense, but I can say
this. You mean a Nissan? It was a Nissan.
There was possibly a Nissan I might have seen in there too. I'm sure there's a bunch of different vehicles. I'll tell you what, we did go by the street where all those nice cars were bulldozed out the way, and they were all burned over. That initial
that's
evacuation.
Crazy.
It was crazy. Yeah. It was crazy to see it when we were driving by it live. But yeah, it is strange. The winds, the environment you're in, it's so erratic. You don't know why certain things catch, why certain things don't. We do have ideas of why, like certain materials that your house is made out of, whether you have proper clearance around your home. So if you live in areas where they do have like a has-veg program, and they tell you to clear at least 200 feet from your home and things like that, if you have wood shake roofs, those are all components that lead to the percentage of your house catching fire increase. So if you can mitigate those things, it gives you a better chance of surviving these type of things, or your house surviving at least these type of events.
Do you think we could have a fire like that, like here in the city, like in Downey, like, or not really? It can't happen, like that destruction.
I say you're going to see a lot of that destruction because you have a lot of intermix. So you have a lot of wildland that's intermixed with structures,
Right.
right? When you have places that have a lot of city or concrete, it makes it harder for that type of fire to grow that rapidly, or for us not to be able to get to it, because a lot of the problems that we see as well is the topography or the way that the mountains are
Shaped.
arranged and shaped. Right, it makes it difficult for us to get into certain areas to be able to have an effective fight.
Wow.
So that's another thing that all these things are factors that lead to wildland fires. The topography, the weather, the heat, all that lead to whether that fire can grow faster or we can get ahead of it sooner.
It's crazy how now the wind warnings and stuff like that now it has everybody on edge, right?
Yeah. I live out towards Riverside area, and we get Santa Ana's just come right down that 15 all the time. So we're always heads up with it. But yeah, this California, we get a lot of these, and we're probably going to continue to see things like this.
Someone told me they're called Santa Ana winds, but there's never wind in Santa Ana. So it's like, why is it called Santa Ana winds, right? So
Yeah.
go figure.
Yeah.
But man, thank you so much for being here with us.
My pleasure.
Do you have any last questions for him?
Well, just somebody who's trying to get into fire, volunteering, putting in the work. What would you say to them and their families that?
I would tell them to start out at your local fire department. Go talk to the guys there, guys and girls. See what it is that you can do within your community. So I started off just volunteering with my city, and then I found out there was a volunteer fire program. So Riverside County used to be a volunteer, and that gives you an opportunity to get exposure to the fire service, what the equipment's like, what the job is like, and then your local community colleges. Mount Sac has a great program, Santa Ana College has a great program, Rio Hondo, and these are all places that young people can go to now take and get the education for fire, because it's a fire science is what our degree is under if you do go that route. You can get the education, you can get the training, and then you start testing. Once you get your EMT is another thing. It's huge. Every firefighter in California is an EMT.
Wow.
So we 80% of the calls that we do run on a day-to-day basis are medical. So
Right.
I most of the time, like I said, I'm on an ambulance. 2/3 of the
That's
time.
so dope, man.
Yeah, I respond
Paramedic,
to heart
dude.
attacks and
Wow.
stomach pains, childbirth, all sorts of stuff.
Damn.
So, yeah. You get a little,
Childbirth too.
oh, I do it.
So are you thinking doctor next level or not?
No, I've worked in the hospital before. I used to work at UCI Medical Center as a trauma tech in that ER, and I think I'm good here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 15 years in. I think I'll do another 15, and God willing, knock on wood, and
That's dope,
I'll
Justin.
be out. Yeah.
I know a lot of policemen that when they hear people wanting to be policemen, they always say no, go fire.
Yeah.
Don't be policemen, go fire. Would you say the same thing? Go fire or go
I love my
policeman?
brothers in blue, but there's always, especially in Pasadena, we have a very healthy competition between one another. But one thing, one of the greatest jokes that we always tell each other is, the one thing that firefighters and police have in common, right?
No, what?
We all want to be firefighters when we were kids.
Aw.
Bomberos, yeah, so true.
So, but no, that I could never do what they do. And so my hat's off to police officers as well. That's a very difficult job, and I'm sure when people look and see the things that we do, they go, I couldn't be a police
It
officer.
must be difficult because these guys, according to what we hear and read and see in the news, they have everything kind of tight, from looters and people, and they're still getting in. Like how?
They were there in full force out there in the Palisades, and they did a great job of, they caught people who were dressed up as firefighters.
That's crazy.
What?
That
What kind of uniform do they have on?
No,
know.
it's crazy. And he was on a motorcycle. That's what makes it even more like what? And
Oh my God.
and then there was a couple from Reno
Yeah.
that they bought a fire engine at an auction, and they tried to. Yeah, it was a girl. It was a guy and a lady.
Yeah.
Wild.
That's crazy.
What goes through
I
that?
don't know. My friend says, why these criminals keep doing this? Because they don't watch TV, so they don't hear the warnings about getting prosecuted.
Yeah, that's to me that is the most heartbreaking thing, is to think that in times like this where people are really
Vulnerable.
are very vulnerable, you have
Yeah,
people
no
out there who
kidding.
are ready to take advantage.
Yeah, it's
that
crazy.
breaks my heart.
Just some shady people. It's just, I laugh because I cannot believe there's so many shady people in this world, man.
Shout out to the police. They're doing
Yeah,
a great
for
job
sure.
out there.
All right, man. Justin, well, thank you so much for being here on
My
Los
pleasure.
Amigos de Downey and sharing
My
your story, your experience, and good luck, man.
Thank you.
And I'm sure you're looking forward to retirement.
Well, I got a few more years before that. I'm enjoying the experience I'm getting here, and I think one thing, the reason I initially got into this is my father was sick when I was very young, and so this has allowed me to even take the skills and abilities I have to help people that are close to me. So, knock on wood, I hope I don't have to ever use them, but this is one of the things I take away from it. It's just being able to help the people in my community, around me, my family, my friends, and I hope to get out of here in 15 years and have some stories to tell.
So what's your ranking on the fire? Are you like captain, semi? I don't even know what kind of rankings you guys have.
I'm a firefighter paramedic. So normally you have your firefighter. Firefighter paramedic is a little bit step up just because we can do advanced life support. And then you have your engineer, who's your driver. And then we have a captain. And you have your battalion chief. And then you have your deputy chief, assistant chiefs, and then fire chief.
What about the guy that drives sometimes the back of the truck?
Tillerman.
That's what they're called?
Or the tiller person, yeah.
Wow.
I also have that, too, when I used to work at the truck house. So that's
so you
the
could
best
drive
seat in the
it?
house.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Damn. You know what unit is, right?
No.
It's the fire truck, and then it has the ladder, the hook, the ladder in the back, and it's kind of like he's driving his own thing because he got to turn.
The engine, fire engine, has water in it. And the fire truck is the one with the big 100-foot aerial ladder on top of it.
Okay.
It's a big toolbox, but if it's long enough, like we have in Pasadena, you have a person in the back who drives, and you kind of counter steer, so he drives in reverse, almost like you're drifting.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
city.
crazy.
But it's the best seat in the house. You get to see everything. Everybody sees you.
Yeah.
You roll down Colorado Boulevard on a Saturday. It's good stuff.
Nice.
Nice. Well, let's dedicate the show to your father
Yes.
and to
What's
Jackson saving lives.
What's your father's name?
It's Thyme Hester.
Stein?
Thyme.
Fine with the T.
Okay. Was dedicated to him then.
Thank
That's
you.
a good one. I like that.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right. Last any words?
Well, thank you so much for being here,
My pleasure.
Justin.
Thanks for having me.
You're always
Yeah.
welcome to
Thank
the
you.
Downey Nissan family.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
And real quick, right now, they shook his hand. When he came in, you hugged him, right? And then you introduced me to him. And I feel like I needed to hug him because you are a true hero with the rest of your team.
Diablito was like, carry me.
Rescue
me.
Hey, would you be able to carry me?
Absolutely.
No way.
Yes.
I'm on 250. Hey,
We
don't
need to
fix the
see
camera.
that.
No, we don't need to see that. All right, guys, that's it. Los Amigos de Downey Nissan.
All right.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.